Evolution channel. This is your host, Eirbal, coming at you with another WWE Smackdown Live recap from December 12th, 2017. And I'm also going to be talking about the December 13th 1-hour special that was the first ever live broadcast television debut of NXT. How it succeeded in its first ever TV showing. And what the go-home show is for SmackDown Live, being that this Sunday is Night of Champions, which barely anyone freaking knows about because they're doing a hell of a job not promoting it, other than saying, yeah, Night of Champions this weekend, but, you know, you wouldn't think of it with how bad this go-home show was. And I'm also going to talk about Thursday's December 14th's annual Tribute to the Troops special on what is known as WWE Week on the USA Network, where once a year they do a Tribute to the Troops, and, you know, you have your normal shows, and this week they decided to give us NXT as a special, which really going to shock people probably. I don't know what the rating was. I could probably look that up and talk about the rating, but the rating didn't matter because anybody that wants to watch WWE content that got to see NXT that doesn't have the network, well, the WWE did themselves a solid in promoting their network by showing you what NXT is all about, with giving you just enough of a taste to say, holy crap, I might want to watch this on a full-time basis, but I need to spend my $9.99 to go do that. And, well, lo and behold, spend the $9.99 plus get pay-per-views. Just for those two things, it's worth it. I know the pay-per-views are sometimes really bad, but if you think about it, it's better to deal with the stream than it is to give Comcast or DirecTV or Dish Network or whatever cable provider you have $60 of your hard work earned money for pay-per-view, when this day and age for $10 you can get the same damn thing. I know the content might, the stream might buckle a little bit, the graphics might roll you back a tiny bit, but it's always worth saving the money. Plus, you get NXT every week, and there's actually sometimes, some good specials on the WWE Network, and you can go back and relive the best damn years that WWE ever had, and, check their archives with all their old stuff. So, it's worth it. And this isn't me being a WWE, fan saying, hey, they sponsor me, and hey, go buy their network. No, they don't sponsor me. I'm just a fan, a lifelong fan, that thinks it's a good option, and it's worth it. If it wasn't worth it, I'd say don't do it, but it's actually worth it. I have it, and I only watch it for those couple things. I watch it for pay-per-views, I watch it for NXT, and whenever I get a chance to relive something old, or see like a good show that's going to be on and says, you know what, that interests me. Or maybe they do a 24 where there's a really good interview with somebody that I find to give half damn about. Now, I have also thought about doing a down the ramp this week, but I might save it. I know it's been 2 weeks, but I don't do those that often because it's a co-op of, not a co-op, but a collaboration of me getting bits and pieces of the independent scene, the international scene, and what is all of professional wrestling. Things that I think are hot buttons and talent that has to be talked about. Like the lovely Toni Storm, who, my God, that freaking girl might be the GOAT in female wrestling. She might be the new fabulous Moolah of this century. Time will tell, everybody. Time will tell. And yes, that's with the current talent on WWE's roster and worldwide. Just how green she is in the business, but how savvy she already is with knowing how to sell, how to tell a story, and overall in-ring talent of maneuvers, technical skill, beauty, power, and she can talk. She's not a mute. I've heard her talk. So, but I'm going to save that for one of my down the ramps. I don't want to go into it too much because that might overshadow the shitfest I'm about to divulge on you with how bad SmackDown was tonight, or the other night. So it starts off with, they kind of do the typical, let you know what, oh, it's already put me to sleep, guys, it's terrible, it's how bad it sucked, I'm doing a recap and it's put me to frig to sleep. So, this show, though, sucked, 100%, but it's, typical, let's, do the old, we're going to have a recap of what happened last week in the opening of the show. And this week, it's now AJ comes out to start the show. So we've gone away from... Notice Raw did the same thing. Instead of doing... which kind of makes me wonder if the person writing Raw is also writing SmackDown. Other than Vince. I'm talking about the cumulative group of writers. Because this week, Raw opened up with a superstar as opposed to opening up with either the general manager or the commissioner doing a 20-minute promo and then somebody coming out and doing a blah, 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 and then, we have a match later on tonight. No, we kind of already had the gist of what the matches were going to be tonight. AJ's out there. He's talking. He's hyping up the fact that he's champion. He understands that Jinder will do anything to redo the belt. And then the Singh brothers come out and they try to play off that, we're not with Jinder no more. He beat us up 2 weeks ago, so to hell with Jinder. It was obviously a ploy, and AJ saw right through it. Jinder winds up coming out, and then he attacks the Singh brothers. Not Jinder. AJ attacks the Singh brothers. And Jinder picks them up off the ground, and he's just mouthing off to AJ. And they're trying to set up the rematch, which, if you'd have told me a month ago, after AJ got the belt, that probably, that Jinder was not going to get the belt back, I would have said, you're freaking crazy. He's definitely getting the belt back. They dropped it because Brock didn't want to work with Jinder. He'd rather work with a more positioned, legit star. And not saying that Jinder's not a legit star. Every superstar that's on the main roster worked their ass off to be there once or twice. We all know Jinder was fired and brought back after he got really big with his possible steroid use, but that's not confirmed. So don't believe anyone who says, oh, he's roiding. He could be taking other sorts of stuff that makes you big. It's not just, sticking a needle in your ass and you get big. No. There's plenty of powders and shakes and all sorts of crap that you could take over the counter with proper diet and exercise that can get you pretty freaking big. So don't believe all the haters. They're just jerk-offs. They think they know what they're talking about. They have no effing clue because they've never done it. So they're the typical crybabies that bitch about other people and their success because they have no success and they're just shitheads. But everyone in this country gets a voice because we live in a free-speaking country. But in real life, they're shithead losers. They have no clue what they're talking about. So never believe people who have no clue. Always do your due diligence and look for factors that make sense. Like, get information from people who previously have done the stuff. Like me. I talk to people who I know who are in bodybuilding and weight training and stuff like that, and they said he might be on steroids, but he might not be. It's hard to tell. He obviously takes care of his body, and he obviously is on a food regimen with his diet that you ingest a lot of calories, but not enough to make you absorb fat content to where you keep your lean muscle mass really big and your body fat ratio really low, so that helps your veins pop out and stuff like that. You can also get really thin and then hydrate really quick, drink a gallon of water, and that'll pop out your veins when you're already really thin and in shape. When you're cut, just that one little thing can do it. Just ask cross-country people. People who are really cut and into cardio, They're not... Now, Jinder's obviously into muscle mass building. He's big. He's like Cena, just freaking huge. Alright? And you can see the bulging veins and stuff. But go look at people who do cross-country stuff, like marathons. They're very lean. Like, go back before... and just look at people. I'm not talking about, like, the Ethiopians in the Olympics. I'm talking about the people who do Ironman and stuff like that. They're really cut. They're really in shape. Their veins are popping out, too. They just don't have the big muscles like Jinder. And how they usually accomplish that is from strict diet and, of course, exercise. And then you hydrate a lot, especially when you're going to do stuff that's going to dehydrate you. Because if you do anything that of long periods of exercise, it dehydrates you. So you have to stay hydrated. So these guys wrestle 15, 20 minutes. You damn well know the minute they get into the back, they're sucking down something to drink. It's most likely water or some sort of energy drink to get rehydrated. That's before they go hit the showers. So, please, I'm tired of hearing the people of, he's on steroids. He might be. He also might not be. Do you know for a fact? No. He hasn't failed the drug test. Nothing's like that comes out. There's been no talk or hearsay from people in the locker room saying he's on steroids. Now, yes, they might protect each other, but if somebody didn't like him, they'd out him in a second. So, shut your face. Say that stuff. Well, Jinder's on steroids. No. I believe he's on steroids, but I am not sure he's on steroids. So, it is my own bias that I think he's juicing. I do not think he's juicing. I think, personally, he's using something else that's in that human growth hormone genre that you could probably buy at frickin' GNC. You know, and then GNC could be a list of, you know, any of those vitamin places. So, alright. So, that little promo ends up being a total bore fest. And I feel for AJ, because AJ is so damn good that he deserves better than, you know, he deserves better than Jinder. And Jinder deserved better, too. I'm not saying better than AJ, but just better with how it went down. I would have really liked to see Jinder get smashed by Brock. I just think it would have been better that way. Or maybe he beats Brock. But they don't want nobody beating Brock until Roman beats Brock. Because Vince McMahon is friggin' 80-year-old senile, just way too into the past that he just can't seem to get past the fact that times have changed and we really need to stop this crap. But I understand why Vince likes big polarizing wrestlers, something that's unique and, you know, it's a must-see, like a Strowman, like somebody who's a giant or just a big beefy dude. I mean, Strowman should be champion right now, if anyone, other than Brock. I understand why Brock is champion. Brock is a legitimate badass. It's like saying, well, we have Mike Tyson on the roster, let's just give him the title because it makes it legit. They're doing the same thing with Brock. Brock makes that title legit because he is a legit athlete. He is a legit fighter. He's that verse in, you know, MMA to where we know he can kick ass. So it makes the title belt legitimate just on that sheer fact. It's a shame that he's a part-timer and we don't get to at least see him on Raw doing crazy stuff. Like, he doesn't even have to get in the ring other than to cut promos with Paul Heyman. If he was there every Monday night, I'd have Brock Lesnar, you know, throwing people around in the back, or having a, you know, bitch fests with somebody that he's getting into a feud with, and just build it up that way. You know, he doesn't have to have matches. You can do the heavyweight champion, which in this case he is the heavyweight champion for Raw, just like AJ's the heavyweight champion for SmackDown. Those two titles don't have to be defended on a regular basis. I don't know why people are under the assumption, why isn't the champion on Raw? Why isn't the title being defended? How often do boxers defend their world heavyweight titles? Every 3 months? 6 months? Something like that. You should treat your champion to that type of atmosphere, honestly. Even though I know it's a scripted combat sport, you give the illusion that the champion earned that spot. He's champion. That's it. He does the pay-per-view. That's it. So, and that's all it has to be. But, fans these days are just crazy. It's just crazy. So, anyway, I'm trying to think what else happened. Oh, they of course were building up the Yep movement, which is a garbage step down from the Yes movement. The Yes movement was something that literally caught on like fire throughout the nation. There was even ballparks doing the Yes movement. That's how popular Daniel Bryan's movement got. This Yep movement that they're trying to do with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens is completely just stupid, and that's the writers being lazy as usual. I do see the only thing to come out of this that might be worth a damn is a turn by Daniel Bryan. Do we get evil Daniel? Do we get, general manager Daniel that turns his back on Shane McMahon? I mean, is that coming? Does this ultimately bring Daniel Bryan back to the ring? I mean, he's going to go back to the ring regardless. Daniel Bryan will wrestle again. His contract ends later in 2018. Sometime towards the end of 2018, his contract is up. He'll never lose connections with the company. I think he's a WWE guy for life, but that doesn't mean he'll be employed by them for life. If Vince won't clear him to wrestle, and won't have the doctor that runs WWE clear him, Daniel Bryan will go somewhere else. Ring of Honor, New Japan, some sort of indie circuit, and wrestle, and literally draw a ton of people. Because he is Daniel Bryan. He is that popular still. And I personally think that Roman Reigns is Daniel Bryan's downfall. Roman Reigns' push a couple years ago when Daniel got hurt again when he was IC title holder after he had already forfeited the Universal title and, the WWE title at the time, the Undisputed title that he had, during that whole angle where he won it at WrestleMania and shortly after had to give it up because of him getting concussions while having the feud with Kane, which is all the company's fault. Pile drivers or tombstones to somebody who's already had a history of concussions. They shouldn't have been doing them. And it risked his career and his life. And then he comes back a year after that. They right away get him into the IC title picture because he didn't get his run with the world, and they weren't going to put him back in the world title picture because Roman Reigns had already ascended to that point. This is back in WrestleMania 31. We're talking 3 years ago. Roman Reigns has been Daniel Bryan's downfall, other than the injuries. Daniel Bryan has been cleared by every other major doctor that he's gone to, with the exception of WWE's doctor, which means they do not want to activate him to the roster. Yes, to protect him from himself, that is true. I guarantee you that is part of the reason. They don't want to see him hurt himself to where this affects the rest of his life. He is a young man. He now has a young baby daughter, and he's a newlywed. He hasn't been married that long. I know he's married to Brie Bella, and Brie understands the nature of the business, as does Bryan. But it's a sad situation if something was to happen to him because they let him back into the ring. I do believe they hold the fault of they don't have to hit him with chairs. They don't have to tombstone him or do anything to add to the possibility of him cracking his head. And he could change his wrestling style to protect his head. There are things no suicide dives. Things like he could change his the reason why guys like Hulk Hogan only got hurt from themselves with tearing knees and backs, and we didn't see them, ripping out rotator cuffs or tear biceps or tear quads or an ACL. When did you ever see Hogan do anything crazy? No, Hogan did the same skill set of moves for 30 years almost. Yes, he hurt his back and his knees from doing them, but that was just the nature of, I'm doing a Hulk Hogan leg drop every night for 30 years. You know, like, your body's not meant to do that. Where when wrestlers take suicide dives head first and they end up banging into something, or doing a flip off a rope and landing funny and ripping apart their knee, or getting hit into a guardrail and tearing their rotator cuff, or some sort of meniscus or something, that's because they're doing high-risk maneuvers and stuff that it's risky. You know? Now, yes, DDTs, pile driver, stuff like that, yes, that can add to potential brain injury, especially to someone who's more susceptible to it. Like Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was under like that Bret Hart problem. Once you get one concussion, you get another one, and it's easier to get another one. And it just keeps excelling the amount of damage. So that's why it's been good that he's been out for so long. But what I would do here is I would let him wrestle again before he leaves. So that, I think that's what they're building up to here. I would reduce, make him part-time, like couple pay-per-views a year. That's it. Nothing crazy. Do not risk his injury to his head. Let him get this filtered out of his system. Daniel Bryan needs to filter out the remainder of his wrestling in-ring career because he loves it so much. It is his lifeblood. He's been doing it for so long. He misses it. You could tell it's eating him up inside because he didn't get to quit after, it's kind of like saying, I've done everything in my bucket list. I finally am at peace. Daniel Bryan's not at peace. He hasn't completed his career in his mind. So they should let him come back. But fucking Roman Reigns, and I cursed, I'm sorry. Apologize. Vince having a hard on to push Roman is they're trying to pull away from Daniel. By turning him heel, they're hoping he doesn't keep getting the biggest pops of the night because that's affecting Roman Reigns. It's affecting AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, all this top talent. I could go on a list of guys who are in the top that when they go out and their pop is not equal to the guy playing general manager of SmackDown, it's a problem. Just like Cesaro getting called the Swiss Superman was a problem because the only person who can get something called Superman in the WWE, Roman Reigns and his Superman punch. You know, like, I'm sorry. They shouldn't even be calling it a Superman punch. No one should be called Superman. Keep Superman to the comic book era, please. Get it out of wrestling. It's so stupid. And of course they're building up hype to Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, where Mojo Rawley has turned his back on Zack Ryder, and they're going to feud now because Lord knows the WWE has to break up tag teams and eventually have them fight each other. Even though it could be as simple as if one of them has aspirations of singles competition, that they could do the singles competition and still be part of a tag team like others have in the past, where it was never an issue, but people seem to forget that. See, WWE likes to think fans are retarded and that we forget everything. Contrary to what Vince thinks, guys like me, I don't forget shit. So he's just literally laughing in my face, and I'm looking back at him with the stink face. So this is just terrible. I'm not saying that who really cares, because Mojo sucks. I think he's just another guy from the NFL trying to make it into the WWE. Like that's been happened before in the past. Very few people have transitioned from football into WWE. Brock Lesnar being one of them. But Brock is a freak athlete. He's way better than Mojo Rawley. Mojo will, equal some of those guys from the 80s that used to come in, these big, hoss-looking dudes that were ex-football players. Yeah, they become professional wrestlers, but I mean, how many of them do you remember that made really long strides in professional wrestling? I mean, the one that comes to mind a lot from WCW is Steve Mongo McMichael. the ex-Chicago Bear player. He had a couple years where he was even part of the Four Horsemen. A lot of people forget that, though. He's not even a Hall of Famer. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet. So, people know him because he had his time as a commentator in WCW and his time at Four Horsemen. So, I would say him and very few others. I can't even remember the last one in WWE that made it big other than Brock Lesnar. And that's because Brock... The other Rock. The Rock. He transitioned from college football because he lost his position to Warren Sapp as a Miami Hurricane because he got injured. And I don't think he never made it to the pros. I think he went right into wrestling. But The Rock's also got a pedigree for the business. Father's Rocky Johnson. His grandfather's, High Chief Pete Maivia. So, it's in his blood to be a pro wrestler. Mojo, he just wants to be hype, and the best thing they can do for Mojo is hopefully sign Rob Gronkowski in about 3 or 4 years after Tom Brady retires and Gronk's career goes down the shitter because he doesn't have the GOAT throwing him the ball. And he's like, well, I'm a 30-year-old guy. I should go do some professional wrestling, go make some more money, and I'll team up with my buddy, Mojo Rawley, because they are friends in real life. And then what's sad is Mojo and Zack Ryder are friends in real life, too. I think Zack helped Mojo transition, and that's why it made sense for them to be a tag team. Zack even went down to NXT to help Mojo, and I thought Zack was going to turn on Mojo. They kind of did the reversal here, but once again, breaking up this is like the same thing they did. I know these two guys aren't in comparison to the other team I'm about to mention, but they broke up Big Cass and Enzo Amore way too soon, and look where that got them. Into a feud that nobody cared about, and eventually that feud led to an injury that sidelines Big Cass for almost a year. So, and Enzo is now in 205 Live Hell. So, the only thing we could say is that Mojo sucks, and AJ Styles is great. It's a shame he's feuding with Jinder Mahal. And the Natty Charlotte feud will culminate with the Lumberjill match, even though they're calling it Lumberjack match, because WWE's stupid. And I can't think of any really good thing to talk about this SmackDown other than Daniel Bryan also added himself as the second referee to the match as a referee, so he'll probably be outside. Shane will be in the ring while this tag team match is going on. I'm going to say that either Daniel Bryan does something, some kookiness and helps them win, or they do win, because I don't see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn get fired from the company. I think that's totally asinine. AJ will retain. Baron Corbin will most likely retain. Who even cares about him and whoever he's feuding with? I mean, Bobby Roode could win the title, but I doubt it. And Bobby Roode needs to turn heel, by the way. Dolph Ziggler's involved with that just to give Dolph something to do. Charlotte probably retains. It's probably literally everyone retains, because I would say Usos retain. All the champions are going to retain. These feuds are going to culminate to nothing. The only champion that has a possibility to lose is Baron Corbin, because it is a triple threat match, and he doesn't have to be pinned to lose the title. So, anyway, that's enough with talking about crappy SmackDown. Let's get into some NXT results from Wednesday night. And, it's really unbelievable how you can have that show, do the first time airing on, so they wind up doing, the Full Sail University show, and they show it on, I don't know if it was live. I think it was still taped, because it was in Full Sail. It wasn't in the same location where the main rosters were at all. Well, they do, you know, Andre Cien Almas is the champion, do a video package for him showing the injury to Drew McIntyre, the fact that he becomes champion. They're building up this fatal four-way to see who becomes the number one contender, to get a title shot against him at their next pay-per-view. And, you know, they've already, got Killian Dane and Johnny Gargano are in there. And now there's going to be a match between Roderick Strong and Lars Sullivan and Adam Cole and Aleister Black to see who gets the next shot. And tonight we will see Adam Cole and Aleister Black close out the show, which is really great. Also, we do get to see the champion of NXT, Andrade Cien Almas, go against Fabian Aichner. And Fabian Aichner, how'd that guy gain like 30 pounds of muscle in half a year? I'll never know. Or actually a year. Because he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, which was last summer's tournament in NXT. And he was, 30 pounds lighter. So now he's all beefy. And he's still doing crazy moves. You know, jumping off top ropes to DDTs on the outside. Like, unbelievable athleticism from this kid. So he will probably be something down the line. He needs a name change. I don't like his name. I know it could be his real name in real life. I'm not really sure, but Fabian Aichner, it doesn't have not like Andrade Cien Almas. Like that's a good Latino name for wrestling. Fabian Aichner, not really suit my fancy. He puts on a really quick match with the champion here. And kind of does stuff to Andrade, where Andrade seemed pissed off. And eventually, you know, Fabian Aichner, he loses to the Hammerlock DDT and gets pinned. But he definitely showed everybody something that he could be legitimately something down the road. We'll see. But, of course, then because it's a WWE night, NXT has Raw and SmackDown vignettes on their damn show, like commercials, basically, which drove me freaking nuts. I hate seeing that. I just want to see stuff about NXT when I'm watching NXT. I know it's the same company and all, but jeez Louise. They barely get an hour to do their own show, and they have to plug their parent shows, really? I mean, the parent shows can't plug their shit enough? But then we get, next match is Danny Burch versus Oney Lorcan. Two hard-hitting, guys that recently, a couple months ago became a tag team in NXT, which, of course, NXT needs more tag teams, just like the main roster does, because they constantly purge tag teams or screw them up or, have them feud with each other as opposed to trying to figure out how to become champions. Go against former NXT champions, the Authors of Pain. A couple hard hits from Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, only to succumb to the onslaught, which is the anger of the Authors of Pain, literally. The Death Valley Driver from the corner was ridiculous. The Super Collider and their last chapter, it's just... they just decimated these poor bastards. It was quick, very painful. Definitely makes sense that it's a painful ending when you're dealing with the Authors of Pain. So that's pretty damn good. So you got to see them get highlighted, which is really nice. I'm glad that happens there, because I don't think it's going to be much longer before the Authors of Pain are on the main roster, which will be really good. Again, another video package. Pete Dunne will be taking on and defending his United Kingdom Championship on next week's NXT against former champion Tyler Bate. The clinic that those two sons of bitches put on when Dunne beat Bate for that title was a match of the year contender. So to see them to be on that is a must-see match if you are a wrestling fan. I know they're small guys, but oh my God, can they go in the ring. So you need to see that next week. So after that, after the break again, we get NXT champion Ember Moon in a non-title match against Peyton Royce, which I'm surprised that it's non-title, because I would think Peyton Royce would be legitimate in, going after the belt, but obviously not. Two ladies put on an excellent show. I mean, for something that's on regular TV, this is what you want to see from women's wrestling. No bullshit, just a really solid match. Royce looks like a potential contender, and Ember Moon looks strong, getting the win via pinfall in, I believe, which is her first match since winning the title. Yeah, I believe so. So anyway, that's great. As they do a a celebration in the ring, Nikki Cross has to run in and make the save because I guess Peyton Royce got angry. She winds up doing her finishing move on her. She's beating the crap out of her. Nikki Cross runs in to make the save. I have no clue why. It's weird what they're doing to Nikki Cross, but I guess she's to be unpredictable because she's crazy, or portraying a crazy character, so I don't know. We'll see more down the road. Video package for Adam Cole, baby. What has brought them to this moment. Adam Cole's unfortunately suffering here. Great match, though, that him and Alistair are going to put on, because both these guys are great. But Adam Cole is supposed to be feuding with Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre got hurt. So, and I don't know if Drew McIntyre was supposed to drop the belt to Andrade. He might have, and still end up feud with Adam Cole before him getting called up. See, I don't think we'll ever see much more of Drew McIntyre in NXT. I think when he comes back, he might be there for like a brief little bit to get some revenge, but he'll be on the main roster right away. He's already been on the main roster before. Vince isn't going to keep him down in NXT that long. I don't think it was meant for him to be a champ of NXT all too long. The NXT title is more for people that they're developing to get to the main roster, like Andrade. Guys like Bobby, I mean, they've had this long run now, if you think about it, over the last 2 years of guys that have come from outside the business. I know McIntyre's been somewhere and now he's back, but Bobby Roode, Shinsuke, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, all these guys have become NXT champion, and they have pretty much are well known everywhere else, from either TNA or other independents around the world. So they didn't really need the belts. But it kind of made the belt more legit. I want to go back to where guys like Seth Rollins, Bo Dallas, and Neville, guys that we've never really seen much of, that we know are in development, get to the point where they win the NXT title, like Andrade Cien Almas, and we get to see them have run with that belt for a long period of time. I do foresee Aleister Black getting the belt probably early next year. Unless they call him up too, because we all know that you don't need to win a belt in NXT just to get called up. So, and he's ready already for the main roster. I don't want to see him go and freaking screw him up. So they do that little thing about the Undisputed Era's banned from ringside because we want Aleister Black and Adam Cole to go one-on-one. The officials of NXT don't want the match to be screwed with because the winner goes into the Fatal 4-Way for the number one contenders match, which is a big deal. So I see it. And then we get another vignette that Shayna Baszler is coming to NXT soon. So yeah, we know that she ended up signing shortly after the Mae Young Classic, and we're bound to see her soon. Which, okay. We all know her pedigree. It's going to. It's probably going to be a few months before we see any really big feud with Shayna. She'll probably squash some of the more green girls, or maybe they bring in local talent, something like that. We probably will see her as a heel. I don't really know. I mean, she could be a tweener. I really don't know what they're going to do with her. Yeah, we just know her pedigree, that she's in ex-MMA, and that she is a badass. So hopefully that's the prelude to them getting Ronda Rousey in there to a big face, the potential female Brock Lesnar, even though it doesn't have to be. Whatever, we'll see. Main event ends up being number one contenders match, Adam Cole against Aleister Black. So, AC versus AB. We all know that whoever wins this is going to the Fatal 4-Way match, with only one more match to go before all 4 participants for that match are decided. It's probably going to be... It's not going to be Roderick Strong, so it'll probably be the big guy. And I can't remember his name right now. He'll be in there, and then that friggin' Fatal 4-Way is going to be awesome, just because of who's in it. And it could go either Johnny Gargano or Aleister Black against Andrade Cien Almas. I see that now. If it goes Gargano, then I see Gargano winning the title, and just in time for Tommaso Ciampa to come back and literally beat him to a pulp. For now, he's NXT champion, and you screwed. Like, that whole feud would just explode. The timing would be almost perfect with where this title change would happen, and how shortly after that Ciampa would come back, if not make an appearance that night that Gargano wins the title. Or they give it to Aleister Black and they have him have a run with it before sending him off to the main roster. So, Black Mass ends up connecting at the end of this match. Adam Cole begs for it. Aleister Black more than makes him feel it. It looked like he knocked him in the next week. This match was freaking awesome. Great to see on regular TV. This is a normal night for NXT with how good the roster performed. They gave you just enough for you to give a shit about NXT and want more without giving you too much, because honestly, we all know how good NXT can be. We've seen the pay-per-views. They can knock it dead to where their show is better than whoever's pay-per-view it is the following night. So, anyway, tribute to the troops. It's great to see the old style ring, because the old style ring lets the guys be a little bit more risque, because they don't have to deal with the LED sides, and the turnbuckles pillars aren't all LED'd up with that extra friggin' crap. So it is good to see that. Starts out with the Shield going against the Bar and Jinder. Wait, no, it was the Bar. I was going to say Jinder. It was the Bar and Samoa Joe against the Shield. We ultimately get the Shield winning here. Unfortunately, Tribute to the Troops was nothing more than tag matches. We had the New Day and the Usos against Rusev, Aiden English, and Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. The Usos win that. And this pretty much was everyone won that you would expect to win when you're doing like a house show and you're just... Because basically, the Tribute to the Troops thing is kind of a house show for the troops, because all that's there is the talent, the camera crews, and the troops. There's no regular civilians there at all, other than what us watching it on TV. Then you had Absolution against what was it, Bayley, Sasha Banks. It was basically a rematch from the other night. Same thing with the SmackDown and matches and the matches that happened from Raw were almost the same things we saw during the week. So, no big deal. It is what it is. They just wanted to do... This was in San Diego this year. They gave a tribute to the troops. It's very nice WWE does this for our troops. Our troops suffer and go through a lot to be away from their families, serving, under their terms to protect our nation, and to give us the lives that we all live. So for a company to give back like it does is phenomenal. And to be honest, it makes me very happy. You got the Carmella versus Ruby Riott versus Charlotte match. That was pretty good, of course. And then Natty kinds of make her way out there to be a pain in the butt, but nothing really crazy. Just more expected wins here. Everybody who you expect to win goes over strong. And, you've got... What was pretty cool is during the Tribute to the Troops, they do reach out to celebrities, and celebrities, are interviewed by WWE, and they say thank you to the troops, too. So that is pretty cool, even though we know a lot of Hollywood is a bunch of liberal pansies. But at least they have enough guff to salute the troops who give them the opportunity to have the life that they lead. I think the final match of the night ends up being Owens and Zayn with Jinder Mahal against Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, but of course AJ and Shinsuke and Randy Orton getting the victory there. So pretty much, this was pretty savvy night with all the baby faces getting over that were in position to winning, and it was all a bunch of tag matches, just kind of like having the troops see their big fans. The setup is cheesy looking. They do it on, I think, is a cruiser or a destroyer. It looks like a house show setup. It's but an outside venue because it was in San Diego. Very well done. It's great to see the Navy and Army troops that were there having a blast, getting to see their favorite WWE superstars perform live for them. It is a beautiful thing that the WWE does, and as much as people knock them, you really should praise them for doing stuff like this, because when it comes down to it, we're all human, and we need that little bit of levity in our life to feel good even when times are rough. Anyway, we're a week away from Christmas. I hope everybody's having a blast dealing with the pandemonium that's going on at the stores. When apparently retail sales are way up this year because the economy is booming, and it's about to really boom more if the tax plan that's going through, to where people get a little bit more money in their pocket, and corporations get to save a bunch of money too. So hopefully they wind up opening up more jobs and giving people pay increases and stuff that haven't gone on for more than 10, 15 years. It'll be a great thing to see. If they end up being the typical greedy jerk-offs and corporate shells that they are, then they'll pocket all the money and we'll be on the outs. But I'll tell you what, it's just good to see that our stagnant economy is becoming a thriving economy again. And still with stuff that's pushing the future ahead. So this is your pal Eirbal on the Media Evolution channel. Make sure you do a like and a subscribe to the channel. Hit up my Twitter and follow me there. And join me on this journey to try to get more people watching, to make my channel a more legit source where people get their results and info and possibilities of what's coming down the road in the world of professional wrestling. And I'm going to be doing another video for WWE Supercards soon enough. Try to do a weekly video there. And I might stop doing SmackDown result videos because SmackDown has been so freaking terrible. So I might take a break for a while. I'm also planning on dropping a video explaining the state of the channel and what my plans are for 2018. So this is your pal Eirbal. Longer than normal. I've been reducing them under a half hour. This one's going to run over 40 minutes or almost 50 minutes. Holy shit. Alright, anyway. Have a good night and peace!